Start the recording. Oh my god. Okay, so let's start with the recap. Okay, so I will create a new file called recap. Okay, so first one is basic IO. Okay, so what does IO mean? IO means input, output. Okay, so in the exercise we use the input method to get input from the user. Okay, so and then the print function to print out a string to the console. Okay, so that's basically just the input output. Okay, so what are the nuances is basically the input method will return a string str. Okay, so if you want to convert to an integer, like let's say you want to get the age, right? Okay, then you have to use the int method or the float method, okay, to convert to those data types respectively. Okay, then after that the print statement just takes in a string, then it will print out that string to the console. Okay, or you can use a comma and you can add the string, append the string like that also can, or you can use the string formatting, which is the %s like that, or you can use f string, or what we call the string literal. Okay, so this is basically to inject Python syntax or Python statements into the middle of a string using curly braces, and you have to add the f at the front. Okay, yeah, okay, so the next recap is if else. Okay, so the syntax is basically if, after that condition, okay, after that colon, after that don't forget your the indentation, and then the whatever statement you want. Okay, after that there's also elif, after that another condition, after that again don't forget your indentation and then your statement, and then the last one is the else. Okay, so else doesn't take in any condition because it just checks the, it is supposed to run when all the other conditions fail. Okay, so another statement like that. Okay, so then how do you compose the conditions? Okay, so the conditions can take a form of a numerical operator, like a numerical comparison, like if 5 is more than 4, like that. Also can be less than, can also be less than equal, and also more than equal, and it can also be if it equals, like that. So if 5 is equal to 5, like that. Okay, but not necessarily only numbers, you can also compare strings. So I can say if let's say like that, and then I want to say if string equals to hello, like that. Okay, then I also can combine together various comparisons to form one single condition. So I can say, like, example, age equals 18, then I can say if string is hello and also age is more than or equal to 18, like that. Okay, so there are various operators. So the first one is AND, then the next one is, so this is called the conjunction, and there's also OR, which is called the disjunction. Okay, so what AND and OR means is basically if this is true and this is true, then the whole thing will be true, and then run this. okay? For or is basically if either one is true, after that the whole thing is true, then run this. Okay, so yeah, and is more strict in that sense. Okay, then there's also a negation operator. Okay, so what you can do is in this one you can put a exclamation mark equals, or you can also say if not, like that. Okay, so basically is to negate whatever is here. Okay, so basically what negation means is that if this is true, then the whole thing will be false. If this is false, then the whole thing will be true. Okay, so basically not just negates the whole condition. Okay, so basically if I type in if not string is hello, that means I want to check if string is not hello. Okay, so that means if string is not hello, then I want you to do this. Okay, it's more convenient lah. Okay, so an example is with the age. If I say age more than or equal to 18, after I can say like you cannot watch this movie, like that example, because I want to check if the age is less than 18. Okay, so how to check if the age is less than 18 is I can use if age is not more than 18. Okay, this is just an example lah. A better way is, okay, just check like that also can. Okay, so anyway, in Python the comparison operators are like just basically basic English. The not, and, or. Compared to other languages, right, they use like special characters like the exclamation mark equals. So this is not equals. They also use the n is actually double ampersand. After for the or is actually the double pipe, like that. Okay, so it does the shift backslash to get the pipe. Okay, but in Python we don't use that. We just use the English words not and or. Okay. Okay, so after that, let's move on to lists. Okay, so lists are basically like arrays in other languages. So basically a list is to store many values are basically is to have a collection of many values. Okay, so how you declare a list, is first you type in your variable name. So let's say I want this to be called my list. Then I can say square brackets. Then within the square brackets I can have all my elements that I want. Okay, so I can say 1, 2, 3, blah blah blah. Okay, so or I also can create an empty list. I just don't put anything inside. Okay, so each element in a list is separated by a comma. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, like that. Okay, so then yeah, that's lists actually. Okay, so another thing about lists is elements can have different values, different types. Okay, so what I mean is like if I create a different list, then I can say the first element is 1. Then I also want to have hello inside. Then I can also say whatever. Then I can also put in a float. Then I also can put in another list as an element. Okay, so what this is called is a multi-dimensional list. Okay, then I also can have a dictionary inside. I can have a tuple. I can have a set. So a set is basically just a loose collection of elements. There's no like sense of order or anything. You can just put like whatever you want inside, like that. Okay. Then a tuple is basically like a list, but it is immutable. Okay, so that means the values cannot change. This tuple will just remain the same forever. Okay, so like a tuple can say like 1 2 3 like that. Okay, a dictionary is basically a collection of key value pairs. Okay, so basically what this allows you to do is that you can store like values inside, right, that you can access through a key. Okay, and then the key values and the keys and values can have different types also. So I can say a string value like a key. After I also can have a numerical value. I can say this one is a like that. Okay, so then each pair is separated by a comma. Okay, yeah. So that's about lists. Okay. I will just get rid of all this. Okay, so now that I've covered lists, I will move on to loops. Okay, then I will also go through how to loop through a list. Okay, so loops.
Yo, I'm back. Sorry.
Oh, hello. Where do you go?
I had to settle some work stuff at tomorrow with my boss.
Okay. So you have just finished the pre-exercise and now we are recapping some stuff.
Okay.
Yep.
Alright.
Okay, so what we have gone through is input output. So it's basically just the input function and also the print function. Then also we teach you how to convert to a numerical value. If like let's say you want to get the age from the user, you can convert to an integer using the int function, or if you want to have a decimal number, you can convert to a float.
Okay.
Okay, then next one we go through if else statements and also elif. Okay, then after the conditional operators, not, and or. Okay, and then of course the less than, more than, and equal to, stuff like that.
Okay.
Okay, then we covered lists. Okay. Then after that, now we are on to loops. Okay, so there are two types of loops in Python. Okay, for and while. Okay, so for the for loop, the syntax is basically just for, after that a value in a list. Okay, then after that the colon, and then after that indentation, proper indentation, and then your statements, blah blah blah. Okay, then after that in loops you can also have a break statement to break out of the loop prematurely, and also continue or like to skip to the next cycle, or what we call the next iteration. Okay, so these are the two special how to say, the two special statements for loops. Okay, both for and while loop also can use.
Okay.
Okay, so now let me go through a for loop. Okay, so usually how you would use a for loop, like the basic stuff is basically you would type like something like for I in range, and then after you put a number like, I don't know, 10, and then you would do whatever you want inside. So let's say I want to print the number each number from 0 to 9. I will do something like this, and then if I print that, it will print 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, blah blah blah. Okay, then until 9. Okay, so why is this? Okay, so basically, right, the implementation of a for loop in Python is basically already a for each loop. Okay, so basically for each loop is a very advanced type of loop that is to loop through each element in a list. Okay, so then you ask, how does this achieve this type of like effect or whatever this is? Okay, so basically the range function returns a list. Okay, so basically range returns a list. Okay, so then how does the range function produce the list? Okay, so basically range has 3 arguments or parameters. Okay, so what are the parameters of range? Okay, so range will take in first the start number, then after that it will expect the stop number, and then the last one is the step. Okay, so what the step is basically how you want to increment by how many, or decrement also can. Okay, so basically okay, so then after that, and actually, right, the starting number and also the step is optional. Okay, so that's why I can just pass in one number and it will work. Okay, so basically the default is it will pass in start from 0. Okay, after it, the number n is what you pass in, and then the step is 1. Okay, so this is the default, but you can change it however you want also. Okay, so if I change it to, like, let's say start from 2, I want to end it like at 100. After that, take each step of 2 example. Okay, then we print out all the way until 98. The reason is because it will exclude the stop number. Okay, so it will not print the stop number, and so the last number it can feasibly print or it can feasibly produce is 99. But since our difference is 2, the amount of increment is 2, so 98 plus 2 is 100, but we don't want to print 100, so it will stop there. Okay, then if I scroll back up to the top, you can see it started from 2. Okay, so it printed all the even numbers starting from 2 all the way until 98. Okay, so that's basically what the range function does. Okay, it just produces a list. Okay, so in this example, right, it will just produce the result of this, right, is it will print 0, 1, 2, dot 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 until n, basically. Cause okay, sorry, not n minus 1, cause it excludes the number n. Okay, so this is basically just what range does. And when we use it in a for loop, okay, so basically what will happen is at each iteration, okay, so each iteration, or basically what we call or the cycle each cycle, I will take on the next element in the list. Okay, so basically is first iteration, or I will shorten it down to iter, I equals to, okay, so in the case of like 10, right, I equals to 0. Okay, cause the default is starting from 0, correct? Okay, so then after that, second iteration, I equals to 1. After the third one, I equals to 2. After that, etc, etc. Okay. Okay, so basically it will take on the next value, the next element in the list. Okay, so if I can pass in any list I want. Actually, I don't have to use the range function. If I pass in like 1 add Sally Jarek, like that, then I run this, it will print all the elements in the list. Okay, so basically this is what a for loop does. Okay, can understand?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay. If you guys have anything to clarify or ask me, feel free to ask. Okay, so the next loop is called the while loop. Okay, so the while loop is basically is to loop through a set of statements while a condition is true. Okay, so basically how you use a while loop is you type while, after the condition, and then the colon, and then the indentation, and then your statements. Okay, so basically what a while loop does is, before it goes into the loop, first it checks if the condition is true. Then if the condition is true, then it will go into the loop and run all the statements inside. Okay, then once it finishes running, then it will check the condition again. If the condition is still true, then it will keep running. Okay, then it will run until the condition is false. Then once the condition evaluates to false, then it will exit out of the loop. Okay. Okay, so a simple demonstration would be something like count equals to 1, then I want to print while count is less than or equal to 10, then I want to print out count. Then after that I want to increment count by 1. Okay, then if I run this, they will basically print from 1 until 10, then it will stop. Because once the count reaches 11, then the count is no longer less than or equal to 10, and then so it will exit off the loop. Okay, can you understand?
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay, so now let's move on to functions. Have you learned functions yet, Jarek?
No, I have not.
Okay. Okay, firstly, do you understand the for loop already? Since that
Yeah.
you had the problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you fully understand the for loops already, right, I think we can move on to the more complex stuff. Okay, so do you want to cover functions?
I don't really know what functions is, so maybe like explain to me what
Okay, sure.
what the thing do.
Okay, so basically functions are a piece of code that takes in inputs, okay, and returns outputs. Okay, so basically it's something that will take in a set of inputs and will return a set of outputs. Okay, so basically it's like, how to say, it's a convenient way to like do repeated operations, but you no need to write so much lah. So basically, like example, you have like a some function that takes in like a bunch of that takes in like a list of numbers like that. Okay. Okay, wait, before we go to that, right? The syntax for function is basically def. So this means define. I want to define my function. Then after that is the name of the function. Okay, so all functions have a name, except for some special cases, but we will cover that next time. Okay, then I have parentheses. Then inside the parentheses I have my input values, or what we call arguments. Okay, so now let's go back to this like print function. Okay, so a function is when you call it is highlighted in purple, and then inside the parentheses I want to pass in all the I want to pass in the arguments. Okay, so in the case of print is the thing I want to print out lah to the console. Okay, so that's called the argument. It's basically your inputs. Okay, so I can say here also this one is arguments or parameters also. Okay, so it's basically what your function expects. Okay, so basically a function is like this, is a convenient way lah to code. Okay, so it's like to place all the operations you want into one spot. After you can use it multiple times without actually doing the implementation. Okay, so like we want to print to the console, we can just call the print function, then it will print for us. Or like we want to get a list from like 1 to 10 or something, then we can use the range function. Okay, so it's very convenient lah. You don't have to retype the code again and again and again. Okay, so like in this example, I have a sum function that will sum all the numbers in a list. Okay, so I will do is I will say result equals to 0. Okay, so this will be our cumulative result, and I want to say like for each number in my num list. Okay, then I want to add that number to the result. Okay, then after that, after I run through the whole list already, right, I want to return the result. Okay, so then at the bottom I can print out the sum of a list, and I can say, I don't know, 1, 10, 13, blah blah blah, and if I run this, at the bottom it will print out the total sum. Okay, so basically this is what a function does lah. Okay, so first is your function definition. Okay, so this is your like the actual implementation or the actual code of your function. Okay, so this is what your function will do. Okay, then the next part is the function call. Okay, so what is a function call? It's basically is a statement to activate, or what we call also invoke the function. Okay, so it's basically to use your function. Basically lah, is to use your function, activate your function. Okay, and you can activate or invoke your function anywhere in any program, actually, like within the program or in another file also. Okay. Okay, so now understand functions.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
What does the return do though?
Okay, so
Yeah.
what the return keyword does is basically whatever is after the return is your output. Okay, so this is your output.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay, I also can just do a blank return, and this will return nothing. So in other languages we call this void. Okay, but since I want to output the result, I can just type result. Okay, so I want to return the result. Okay, so another term for giving an output is returning. Okay, so you will hear this a lot in programming.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
basically, what you're printing out, okay, in a
I'm okay, so in the function I'm not printing anything. I'm just doing the calculations. Okay, then
No, I meant
after
in the line 52 for printing.
okay,
For
so what this does is actually, right, first I have this list, right,
uh,
and I pass this list into the sum function. Okay, and the sum function returns the result, correct? And so basically what the interpreter does is basically it replaces this whole chunk with the result, like that. So it's
okay, okay.
implicitly known is like that lah. Okay, so then it will just print the result. Okay,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Yeah, I get it.
okay, great. Okay, so now let's move on to dictionaries. Okay, okay, so what do you know about the in real life dictionary?
There's a lot of words and meaning behind them.
Correct. Okay, so basically in Python we can model something similar. Okay, so basically is the key can act as the word, like basically you want to find out the definition for hello, like that. Okay, of the word hello. Okay, so the definition is like the value, like that. Okay, so basically yeah, like that lor. Okay, so basically it's like if you want to get the definition of a word, you use the word as the key. Okay, after that what it will return you is the value, which is the definition lah. Okay, so other application is also like a phone book. Okay, so the key can be like the phone number. Okay, after that value, the value of the pair can also can be like the person that has that number. Okay, so it's basically a convenient a dictionary, or in other languages we also call a map or a hash map. Is a very convenient way to store information like this in key and value pairs. Okay, so like the phone book example, I can also say like phone book equals to curly braces. Okay, so this is how you declare or define a dictionary using curly braces, and then within the curly braces are all your key value pairs. Okay, so I can say something like 8931 7201. Okay, so this is my number, so I can say it belongs to me. Okay, then I can say like I don't know 999, this is the police, like that. Okay, after that blah blah blah. Okay, so then just like I said earlier, the is each pair is separated by a comma. Okay, so how you define each pair is basically first you put the key, then you put a colon, then after the colon is your value. Okay, so then now that I have my phone book, right, how do I actually I can put in one more. I will put in 995 for the ambulance. Okay, so then now I have my phone book, right? So then how do I utilize my phone book? Okay, so let's say I want to do a query on 999. Who is 999? Okay, so I can say something like So I will type in the name of the dictionary, phone book, and I will put a square bracket. Okay, so the square bracket is like the list syntax also, but instead of using the index, I will use the key. Okay, so I can say something like I want to find out who 999 is. Okay, so then if I use this syntax, it will print out police. Okay, there, police. So basically whatever is in the square brackets is your key. Or you can also use the .get method, and you can pass in the key like that. Okay, so if I want to get the 999, then it will work the same way. Okay, so the advantage of using the .get method is if it doesn't exist, like let's say like that, it will return none or null. Basically that means it's empty, it's undefined. Unlike if you use the square bracket notation, right, and I type in a key that doesn't exist, that means it doesn't exist in my dictionary, right? Then it will actually throw an error. Okay, so it will throw a key error. There, key error 8888. Okay, and so that's why it's a better practice to use the .get, unless you want to handle the exception another way. Okay, then you can stick to the square brackets. Ultimately, the square bracket is just for convenience. Yeah, so that's all. Sorry, that's not all. Now I want to show you how to iterate through a dictionary. Sorry? Oh, okay, never mind. Okay, so basically I can also loop through a dictionary using the for loop also. Okay, so I can say is for key value in phone book dot values. Okay, so what the dot values will return is actually a tuple consisting of the key and value. Okay, then I capture both values. I will capture both data through two variables in this portion. Okay, or I can also loop through just the keys. I can say the dot keys, then I can just keep the key, or I can also loop through each value using the dot keys dot, let me see dot, okay, what if I just put this? Okay, then if I put key value, okay, sorry, okay, so the dot values returns all the values, sorry. Okay, then if you want to iterate through both, then you have to use just this one. Wait, what? Cannot unpack non-iterable in object. Dot sorry, dot items. Okay. Yep, then now it works. Okay, so if I print the value, sorry, if I print the key first, then I print the value, they'll print my number, Edric 999, police 995, ambulance. Yep, okay. Yeah, see, this also gets like confusing for me sometimes. Okay, so to recap, dot items is returns all keys and values like that. Okay, After that, dot values returns all values. Dot keys returns all keys. After that, nothing is it will return I presume the keys only. Yeah, correct. Okay, so nothing returns keys. Okay. So yeah, good to keep this in mind, if not you'll forget it like me. Okay, so I've just gone through how to iterate through a list. Oh yeah, okay, so by the way, one thing to note is the pairs will not be in any order, okay? So if I rerun this, right, it may actually also be another order also, so yeah. Okay, so working with dictionaries, keys and values, iterating through a dictionary. Okay, great. Okay, so both of you understand so far?
Yeah, I think so. It's kind of new to me, so maybe I just need some time.
Okay. Sorry?
Once I kind of
Your mic a bit soft.
hi. So, yeah. No, I was saying it should be okay if I kind of digest it a little bit and refer back to your video lah. But I think it's quite understandable.
Okay.
Especially if you have this stuff that you wrote for notes for us.
Okay, great. Okay, so if no one has any issues, then let's move on to the last topic of the day. Okay, so it's OOP. Okay, so this may be a new concept and it may be hard to grasp, but I will try to explain it as best as I can. Okay, so what is OOP? It basically stands for Object Oriented Programming. Okay, so it's a style or like a paradigm of programming. Okay, so basically object oriented programming revolves around using objects. Okay, so what are objects? Okay, so objects are basically how to say, representations of like a model, like of how to say like it's just like pieces of code basically. Data, sorry, not code. Pieces of data that is used in programming. Okay, so it's basically a convenient way to do stuff basically. Okay, so then how do we do OOP? Okay, so firstly is the class. Okay, so classes like in Java and C# are like templates to create objects. Okay, so this process is also known as instantiation, like we know in Java, in my Java class. Okay, so then objects, or what we also call instances, have certain attributes and behaviors. Okay, so it's basically like to model real world objects. Okay, so an example is like an animal like that, or a vehicle. Very common analogies. Okay, so basically what are attributes? Okay, so attributes are basically like the properties, or like the, how to say, things that can identify the object, what the object has lah. Okay, those are those are its attributes. Like example, a human has like a height, they have weight, they have an age. Humans have age also. So all these pieces of information are called attributes. Okay. Then also behaviors. Behaviors are basically what the object can do. Okay, so basically what we call the behaviors is also what we call methods. Okay, so basically they are just functions, but they are related to objects. Okay, so an example of a behavior or a method is like a duck can quack, like that. Okay, so quacking is a behavior of a duck, and so if I want to model a duck in Python, I can create a class called duck, and then I can define a behavior called quack. Okay, then after that, in my quack function or in my quack method, I can print out quack, like that. Okay, so basically the functions, when it's in a class, it's called a method or a behavior. Okay, so it's basically describes what the object can do. Okay, so in this case, the quack behavior will print out quack. Okay. Okay, so now that we have I have explained the basics of classes and objects, anyone have any questions?
What?
Sorry?
Like, I don't get the duck part. Like, okay, I can get what it is, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know what's the output of it.
Okay, so just now this one
Yeah, like for me it's like I see as a thing. But then what comes after that?
Okay, so let me break it down for you. Okay, so firstly, this first line is to define that I want a class called duck. Okay, so to define a class, I use the class keyword. Okay, then after that, I need to have indentation also. So after that, I want to define a quacking behavior of the duck. So I will type def. It's the same as a function basically. Okay, so then after that, I will type in the name of the behavior. So in this case it's quack. Okay, then after that, I will put parentheses. Okay, then inside here you will see the self. What is self? Okay, so self is basically self is relating to the current object. Okay, so is a, how to say it's basically like that, is relating to itself, or like relating to this object, basically the current object. Okay, so how to explain self in Java is equivalent to this basically. Okay, is a special keyword okay, to refer to the this, like this. I'm like trying to shout here, like this object, like this. Okay, and so in Python, right, I have to explicitly pass the current object as a parameter also to the behavior. Is complicated, but yeah, it's like that. Okay, so basically after that, in my behavior, I wanted to print out the string quack, then nothing else. Okay, so if I create a duck object, so I can say duck equals to duck. Okay, then basically what the self is doing, right, the self keyword, the current object, is basically, this is my object, correct? Okay, wait, before that, let me explain this syntax. Okay, so basically this is instantiation. Okay, so basically this is my object variable. This is what I will refer to the object. And then what this is basically a special type of function called a constructor. Is basically to create a new object. Okay, so to create a new object, first is just type the name of the class, and then after that you have parentheses. Okay, then what it expects in the parentheses is actually the arguments of the initializer, or in other languages what we call the constructor. So I will discuss the initializer soon. Okay, so firstly I want to demonstrate how you would access the behavior of the duck class. Okay, so once you have your duck object, which is the small d duck, is you will call the duck dot quack. Okay, so basically this is in the definition, this is actually the self. This is your self object. Okay, this is itself basically. Okay, so this is the self. I mean it doesn't really do anything. It will just print out quack. There, quack.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So now let me explain the initializer. Okay, so basically what is the initializer is basically a special method in the class that will be it will be activated when you create a new class. Okay, that's why it's called an initializer. Okay, so how you define the initializer is you type define, after that underscore init, then underscore. Okay, so basically init, then on either side you type in double underscore. Okay, then it will pop up the same self. Then at the bottom, in the initializer body, I can put in all my initializers. Okay, so example, I want the duck to have a weight and a age, like that. Okay, so I can say self dot weight equals to weight, and I can say self dot age equals to age. Okay, so basically what is self dot weight? Okay, so basically when I use the dot notation, is basically to access a behavior or an attribute of the object. Okay, so basically when I say self dot weight, I'm trying to access the weight attribute of the current object. Okay, then I want to set the weight of the current object to equal to the argument weight which I have just passed inside. Okay, so to avoid ambiguity, I will change some of the names. Okay, so basically this is this one, then the age is actually this one. Okay, so don't confuse the two. This is the attribute of the object, and this is the input I pass into the initializer. Okay, so this is an initializer. Okay, so then how I use the initializer is whenever I want to create a duck object, I will use the capital D duck, then I'll put the parentheses. Okay, then within the parentheses, I will actually put in the weight. Let's say he is like 15 kg. Then I'll put in the age of the duck, let's say 10. Okay, so what I'm doing here is actually doing what's called a positional arguments. Okay, so basically is in the first position, it will relate to the first argument, then the second is the second. Okay, so what I'm passing in here is I'm passing in that W is equal to 15. Okay, I can write here, right? W equals to 15 and H equals to 10. Okay, then after that in here is I will set weight attribute to be equal to W, correct? Then this one is the age attribute, correct? Okay, so in here, once I instantiate or create the object, it will use the init function. Okay, after that W is 15, correct? So that means this one is weight, the weight is equivalent to 15, and then the age of the duck is equivalent to 10, like that. Okay, so then if I want to print out the duck's weight, I can say the duck dot weight, because this is my object, correct? And so to access the attributes of this object, I will use the dot notation. Then after the dot, I will type the name of the attribute, which is weight, and this way I can print out the weight of this duck. Okay, then it will print out 15. Okay, so this is basically objects. Okay.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, so this is just the basics of objects. Okay, so I've discussed methods already, basically the behavior. I've discussed attributes. Okay. Next one is private. Oh, okay, sorry. I discussed the init method already. Private. Okay, you know what? I will go through private attributes and also the static methods in another lesson. Okay, so up until now, does anyone have any questions?
No, I guess not.
Okay. Big Boss, you have any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, great. I know this class stuff can be hard to understand, but the more you do, right, then the more you understand. Okay. So okay, before I give you guys the homework, I want to ask you guys if you guys can read up on classes in Python and also the init method. Okay, then how you instantiate objects also. Yeah.
Do I have to? Because I haven't learned this in school yet. Then because we still on like for loop and while.
Okay, so actually, right, you will learn this stuff in the second semester. So
I mean, okay.
yeah, so I mean, if you want to read up on your own, then okay lah, go ahead, but I won't force you to lah. It's just good knowledge.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Okay.
then sorry.
Bro, you have the link? Like, if you have good resources for us to kind of refer to, right? That'll be good.
Okay, then yeah, I will send you some links. I will research some links to send you guys. Okay.
Also,
Okay.
can you send us the Python files in case I wanna like review it?
Sorry?
Can you send us the Python files in case I wanna review your comments and stuff like that?
Okay, how about this? I will put it up on GitHub, then you guys can view.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, can.
Okay, so now I will go back to the homework. Okay. Okay, so basically your homework for today is to write a continuous program. Okay, so what a continuous program is basically it will run forever lah, until I want to quit. Okay, so a way you can achieve this is to use a while true loop. Okay, then when I type in a character like Q like that, or if I type in quit, then it will break out of the while true loop of the while loop basically. Then it will, yeah. Okay, so then I'll put in here a hint lah. While true loop. Okay, after that I want you guys to create a user class with username, email, and then I want you guys to store into a dictionary. Okay, then in the dictionary I want your key to be the username and the value to be the object itself. Okay, the user object. Okay.
Wait, I'll see something because right now your screen is blank.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, let me see. Weird. Okay, can you guys see something now?
Yep.
Okay, so let me go through. Continuous program, that means it will run basically forever until I want it to quit. And so one way to achieve this is a while through loop. Okay. Then after that, create a user class with username and email as the attributes. Okay, then I want you guys to store the user objects into a dictionary. Okay, so in the dictionary, the key is the username, and then the value is the object itself. Okay, then after that, I want you guys to retrieve each user object and display the username and email. Okay, then also delete a user from the system. Alright, okay. I want to show you guys the how to delete stuff from dictionaries. Okay, so to delete stuff is I will just specify the del and then the name of the dictionary, and then I'll put the square brackets with the key I want. So example, I want to delete 995. Okay, after that I will print it again. Okay, then you can see the first time around it prints all the way until 995, but after I delete the 995 entry is no more in the thing. Okay, so in my this one example, right, I will show you an example implementation of your homework. Okay, so if I want to create a duck dictionary, okay, then I can say I want to create okay, I will create one more actually, name. So self dot name. Actually, I will create it here, name equals to name. Okay, after passing this one is I don't know that. Okay, so then what I want you guys to do is to use the username of the user. So in this case I will use the name of the duck, and then the value is actually the user itself. So in this case is the duck. Okay, then if actually I create another duck, I can say this chunky boy is 20 kg and he is like, I don't know, 13 years old. Then this is a quacker, chonk. Okay, chonk. Okay, after that I will create another pair with duck2 dot name and then duck2. Okay, so this is like an example implementation. Okay, so how you retrieve the username is like, I don't know, example user dot username. Okay, and then after that is the user. Okay, so this is an example pair. Okay, then let's say I want to let's see. Okay, so yeah, to retrieve the user, right, is use the dictionary, the name of your dictionary, right, after that the square brackets with the user name. Okay, so like it can be from console input or whatnot. Like you can say enter the username you want to retrieve or something like that. Then you can put it inside here. Okay, so this is how you retrieve, right? Then you can print it to the console like that also, like that. Okay, then to delete is you can maybe ask the user to specify which username to delete. Okay, so you can say something like enter the user name you want to delete. Okay, they can say something like del, the dictionary name, and then the username, like that. Okay, so how I would recommend you to do this is using while true loop, correct? Okay, so firstly is the add function. Okay, so I will say if, okay, first I will get input, so I will say like option equals to input, enter your choice. Okay, then I say if option equals to add, like that. Okay, then blah blah blah. Okay, so I can say like I don't know, duck equals to duck. Then I'll copy all this actually. Okay, then after that I can add it to the duck dict. I can make this empty actually. Duck dict. Okay, so if you have an existing dictionary, how you add items to the dictionary is first you type the name of the dictionary. After that you specify the key inside the square brackets, and if the key exists already, it will actually replace the value. Okay, so in here I can put duck.name equals to duck. Okay, so this is your key and this is your value. Okay, then after that I can say, okay, so this one is I will just hard code in just for simplicity, but in the actual one I recommend that you use user input lah, the console input also. Okay, so then next elif option equals to, I don't know, delete. Okay, then I can say delete duck dict and I don't know, just ted. Okay, this one all just hard coded lah, just for an example. Okay, then after that elif option show. Okay, then my show I can print out something like this. Okay, and then after that elif option equals to, I don't know, quit, like that. Then after that I can break out. Okay, so this is just a sample this is just a sample program, but of course I want you guys to build on it lah. Okay, so if I run this, okay, then if I want to add a new one, okay, then after that I want to show, okay, then it will show ted. Then if I want it to delete the ted, I can delete. Then if I show again, it'll be disappear. And after that, if I press quit, they will stop the program. Okay, so this is just an example. You guys can view it on the GitHub page also, which I will create soon. Then I will also upload the recording, this recording, to YouTube. Okay, so any questions?
No questions.
Nope. I think it's okay.
Okay, great. Okay, so now that I've shown you the example also, I can stop the recording. Okay, so bye bye YouTube.